Hey everyone, welcome to the Giving You Everything podcast. I'm your host, Victoria, with a special guest. We have Julia Meltzer here today. Hey, Julia.
Hey, Victoria.
How's your day going?
It's fine. My child has hand, foot, and mouth disease. If you don't have children, that sounds grosser than it is, and it's very common and very contagious. So we haven't had daycare all week.
Yeah. Do you maybe want to explain? The disease is like a very harsh word to use to describe this ailment.
Well,
Can you
the
tell?
scientific name is Coxsackie virus, which is like even
Okay.
funnier.
Yeah, but that sounds like a little bit more of what it is. Okay, it's a virus and her child will be okay. He was at the park today, right?
We were
No,
in like hiking in nature in a
sorry.
forest preserve. We're not
In a
allowed to go to
forest
the park.
preserve.
We've been expelled from polite society. Expelled from
Yeah, we were
civilization,
talking
had to go live in nature.
it seemed like he enjoyed his time in nature though.
We both did.
Okay. You
He's a
both
forest
needed it.
creature. Yeah.
Okay.
Nature
Perfect.
is
Well,
soothing. Yeah.
I'm wishing him some speedy healing so he can get his bottom back to school.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Get his
welcome.
bottom back to school. That's my motto.
Yeah, I probably would have used a different word, but I felt compelled to use bottom
This
today.
is professional. Are you?
Well, no, it was more that it was like
Is
he's
there
a
going to be
child.
bleeping?
No, it's like
Oh,
he's a
okay.
child, like
Yeah. Okay.
telling your kid like get his ass back to
Get your
school.
ass
It's his
back
little
to school. Okay.
Okay, guys, welcome to the show. Let me and Julia, do you want to maybe tell people how we know each other? Because that might help them understand what they're going to listen to for
we
the
were
next.
randomly assigned freshman roommates at Stanford University.
You love a randomly assigned. We were matched.
I love to say randomly assigned. Right.
We
Okay, you're right. We were matched, but we didn't like meet each other and become roommates. Like it was like, hello, here's your roommate. You're right. It wasn't random. I need to stop saying that.
Whenever you say it, it makes me feel like, I'm your partner and it's like just thrown to the wind. Like my story's so different. It's like, oh, they saw that we were like the perfect pair together and, it's just
I'm like the universe. The universe randomly sent me this perfect person, but it was random. But in my head.
Me and Julia were freshman roommates.
Sophomore in an office looked at our forms and decided we would be good together. That's not romantic, Victoria.
I didn't know it was a sophomore. I thought there was like an actual position of people that did this, like an adult.
No, I think it's like a summer job for 4 rising sophomores.
Oh man. Okay, well, you're right. We were randomly assigned. Now my heart is very broken. I thought like people went on a retreat and were like, these women need to live together. Okay. We were randomly assigned, like, guys.
Energetically, that is what happened. Like that happened in the universe, just not in the roommate office.
Great. So we've broken my heart in the first 5 minutes of this podcast. Me and Julia are freshman roommates. So we lived together for an entire year and we were probably perfect roommates. Like it was fun. We both love TV a lot. So actually you can thank Julia for this show existing because I told her I wanted to start a podcast and she was like, you should add reality TV. Why would you just talk to women in business? And so now she's on it. So we're gonna have a treat. We're gonna have a treat today. So do you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself, Julia?
Yeah, I'm a screenwriter and writing teacher and performer, entertainment industry person.
What do you screenwrite?
I have 2 dogs.
And what do you teach?
I live in West Hollywood. What else should I say?
Oh, I said, what do you screenwrite and what do you teach?
What do I screenwrite and what do I teach? So I write TV comedy pilots and I write TV comedy pilots and comedy feature films, and I teach TV comedy pilot writing.
Awesome. Great. So we're going to jump into that in particular, like as you're starting to build your business and push that out. So we'll talk about both your career in in the entertainment industry, but we'll also talk about your coaching. And then we're going to talk about reality TV, obviously. And so before we jump into the show that you've chosen today, which may get us both in trouble with the commentary that I think is going to come from it. I mean, there's not gonna be a lot of good things to say, but just kidding.
No, but we're gonna be on the right side of history. We're not gonna get in trouble. We're not gonna
I know. I
get in
just,
trouble. We're
I'm like
gonna
scared
be
of
on the right side of history.
people blocking me from, people like seeing an episode and then like blocking me from like watching their life on Instagram.
Okay, that brings up a great point about reality TV, about Bravo specifically, which is like, I watched the shows, but I've watched them all like kind of not in real time. And I feel like there's this whole other component to them of like what the people are doing on social media, like in the meantime. And by the time you get to the reunion, it's like they've all done all this other shit to each other on social media that like I can't keep up with. So I feel like Bravo should do a show that's like, it airs in between the season and the reunion, and it's just like a recap of everything that has happened on social media that you need to know. And especially like if you're rewatching or if you're catching up on seasons years later, it's like very hard to figure out what has gone on not on camera. So that's a free idea that I just gave Bravo.
It sounds like a decent idea. It seems like a good idea. I could have for two solutions. One, you should watch them in real time, Julia. Two, you could just ask me what happened.
That's insane, Victoria. That's an insane suggestion. There are like 12 franchises of Housewives and like 6 Below Deck franchise. You could it would be a person's literal full-time job to watch everything in real time. That's an insane suggestion.
Okay,
reality
insane.
check.
Okay, it's clear that I'm insane. So great idea. Pitch it. This is why you're in the entertainment industry and I have a podcast. So this makes a lot of sense. You pitch it. In the meantime, let's jump to. Can you tell me a little bit about? We haven't even told people what the reality TV show is yet, but before we do that, can you tell me what your gateway was into reality TV? So like what were some of the early shows that got you into reality
Laguna
TV?
Beach, of course. Laguna Beach. It probably was literally Laguna Beach because I remember watching it, and the whole thing about Laguna Beach was that was the first one that had the really high production value. Like the real world didn't have high production value like that. So I remember watching it and being like, this is not a scripted TV show, but it looks so much like a scripted TV show. And then that was the summer right before our freshman year of college. So I was like, I'm from the East Coast. I'm going to college in California. My life is going to be exactly like Laguna Beach. Slash the OC. Okay. And it was Laguna not like Beach. That in Palo Alto.
It was not like that in Palo Alto. But Laguna Beach, I had the same exact reaction. I was like, is this real? Is this fake? Which is funny because that was, at the end, that was the whole point. But I was like, is this a fake show? I guess this is a real show. And another funny point is that when Julia moved into my dorm, she asked me if I was from the OC. And I was like, I'm from the Inland Empire. It is not the OC. I know that was the life you thought you were going to lead. And now you can lead. You're closer to it living in LA. So you're not too far.
Yeah. But I don't think I would want it now.
I know. Okay, guys. We're going to get to the reality TV show that we're here to talk about today. So Julia, share with us what show you chose. Out of the many, and why you chose it.
I chose Southern Charm. And I chose it because I think this season is really, like, it's doing a lot of the things we want a good reality TV show to do. And
okay, before you talk about what it's doing, can you lay the foundation of what Southern Charm is about, just in case people they haven't binged it yet and they need to. So can you tell us a little bit about the premise?
Yeah, it's a group of sexy singles living in Charleston, South Carolina, and it's so weird. I'll quickly for Bravo heads, but I'll make it accessible to any listener. Tell you how I found how I worked my way to Southern Charm, which is through Summer House, because I started watching Summer House in the pandemic, and it was so fun to watch during the pandemic because you were like, oh my God, imagine going out and drinking with all your friends. That's so fun. Then via Summer House, I got to Winter House. Via Winter House. Yeah. Via Winter House, I met Craig and Austin. And then I was like, what is the deal with these guys? Go back, start Southern Charm season 1. And that's how I recommend you doing it. Like, don't just start watching Southern Charm. Watch Summer House, Winter House. Once you meet Craig and Austin, go back to Southern Charm and then catch up from there. But Southern Charm is completely insane. It's like, it is like it's such a weird Southern culture, which I don't have no experience in myself. Actually, it reminds me about when I visited Duke.
Yes.
When we were applying to colleges, and the lady giving the tour was like, I went to Duke. My daddy went to Duke. My grandpa went to Duke. My son goes to Duke. I believe Duke Blue. Yeah, and then she was like, the Northerners think there are too many Southerners. The Southerners think there are too many Northerners. And we in the admissions office think it's just right. And I was like, did you get me out of here? Cannot be. That was my only exposure to Southern culture. And I found it frightening.
Southern Charm's special. I mean, the first season, I feel like they got better, but the first season, they're literally on their plantations, like often.
Oh,
they're like,
it's crazy.
Let's go to vacation on my plantation.
No, if you there's like, I think season 2 maybe goes straight from like episode 1 to episode 3. Like, you can't watch episode 2. And I kept trying to figure out why it was like that, because I was watching it years later, and I figured out that it's because Catherine like tours someone to the graveyard of the enslaved people.
Yeah.
On her plantation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Bravo is not equipped to do this. That's not. So I think they rightly took that episode down. And then in 2020, they took out when Thomas Ravenel's dad was like, I don't like that Abraham Lincoln. It's insane.
Well,
why is
Catherine
this
got in trouble? Catherine got in trouble, so I imagine that's when they went back and did all of that. But I think they did do like a decent enough job as they started to add cast in of like addressing a lot of the issues. I think that's what's
really interesting about it. Like the whole, I think it ends up depicting like a pretty functional friend group.
Yes.
Around the racial and political issues, not functional around gender and sexuality issues.
No. And it's crazy because in 2014 when it started, I think my notes from the first season are like, it's basically these like very, I don't even want to say like, I guess maybe they're wealthy, but maybe just like have strong names. You know, they have like popular names in the neighborhood, these men, and then these women just like fawning off after like having the last name. And it literally feels like, I don't know, like it feels like it's so old, it's so backwards for the time, and it was not that long ago. It was 9 years ago.
Yeah. But I think that this weird culture that we just don't understand.
Yeah. And I think it was just like, I mean, just because it was so clear that the men, it would be, I get it, like people want like a good partner, but there was like very little benefit to these men. Like
partners. They were
literally been to jail, like literally like womanizing everybody.
Disgraced
like
politician. 50 years old.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It was a lot, but it was crazy when I watched
Ravenel Street in Charleston. It's weird. Yeah. It's really weird.
And a bridge.
Oh yeah, the bridge.
And I actually think I watched Southern Charm first season. I'm the opposite of you, Julia. Like, you know me, I watch things live and when they're happening. And I watched it because Cameron was actually on the Real World San Diego.
Right.
And she
Yeah.
she was like 19 on the Real World San Diego, and I think she is the reason why then they only started taking the youngest being 21, because they would sneak her into bars and she'd just be like plastered on TV at like 19. But I loved her so much, so I was like, I'm gonna watch the show with Cameron. And I think that's how they actually pulled in a lot of people into watching Southern Charm in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good cast, and I think they do a good job of adding new people. Like,
Yeah.
everyone they've added has been great. Unlike
Yes.
Summer House, when
Yeah.
new people come and go, they can't really seem to find like real contenders to add.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is like they added Leva right at first, and
I love
Leva
Leva.
Leva was in the first. I was rewatching. She was in the first episode talking to Cameron. Like she's
Yeah,
in the show on the very first season in the first episode. So she was like
yeah,
around all these people. She obviously like owned Republic, which is where they were all going out. But
yeah,
she's great. She's like a really good balance of just like no nonsense, but a lot of fun too.
yeah. Leva's amazing. She's obviously like very successful. You should have Leva on the podcast.
I would love to
She's
have
an
Leva. I would love to.
entrepreneur.
She's a badass. I mean, she started Southern. Have you gotten into Southern hospitality yet, Julia? Because that feels like the
I
next
was
stop on
so
your little
excited for
train.
it, and it did
I
not.
know. Okay,
It
well,
just
I
didn't
know.
grab me.
I
But
know there
I
were
was
some
like
good
counting down the
episodes.
days till it aired because
I
I'm a
know.
Leva stan. But
Yep. Yep. Okay, so who have been some of your favorite cast members on Southern Charm?
Craig, I love Craig.
Oh my gosh, but have you always loved Craig? And then tell me what you love about Craig. Well, you binged it, so that's a little hard.
Craig is so funny, and like the Craig, the Craig glow up, you would have to call it, is so
Yes.
satisfying. And
Blow up like it's I don't
yes,
know
and
anyone in
also
real
the
life
fact
who's
that
had
he's not cool about it. He's not cool
no.
about it. He's like, I have to prove all these fucking people
I
wrong with my
know.
pillow
I
business.
know.
It's so
He's
funny. It's so
he just
relatable.
but
Like,
it's
if
crazy
you were
because
friends with all these people who were like treated you like you didn't have your shit together and made fun of your sewing machine and were like, you have to get a job, and then all of a sudden you have this like successful Bravo Celebrity franchise company and the hottest girlfriend in the world, it's like we have no choices. And I love it for him. And
I know.
he's like the cat that ate the canary. Like, he is not even like pretending to be cool. He's just like, isn't this sick? He's very childlike. He's very childlike. I like that.
Yeah, it's interesting that you binged it too, because his glow up was so it actually took a long, like you binged it, but like living kind of like through the years, it was like the lawyer thing happening for so long and him trying to pass the bar, and you were just like, Craig, like it's not,
But
it's like
wait,
when you can't pass the bar, it's like not the bar.
Yes, but when I met him when he was like already like a cool guy when he came to Winter House.
You did.
And I was like, oh, Craig's like hot shit or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like back to season 1, and I was like, Craig, little Craig, sweet Craig.
Yes, you had that. And I would say like I feel the same way about Craig now, but when I was watching through the seasons, I was like, Craig, get it together a little bit. I wasn't like quite on like Shep and Austin's side, but I was like, Craig, like we gotta, and the sewing thing was great. It was, but it was pretty funny when you would when he'd just be in his living room with the sewing machine at first. I mean, now it's ridiculous. It's amazing. Like I want to buy a pillow. I haven't.
I mean, the pillows aren't that, I don't find them that, I don't want them or anything. I don't know if I want any Bravo products, Bravo Celebrity products. Is there one that's like
what
actually
products
good that I want
there?
that I'm forgetting?
You know what?
I mean, there's everything. There's Beverly Beach. There's Skinny Girl, of course, the original.
Oh, okay.
There's,
Okay, wait.
maybe I want
wait.
Jenna Lyon's lashes. That might be the only one I actually want.
Maybe. I mean, okay,
Whitney,
so I will say
Wild Rose. What is it? Free Wolf? What is the Lisa Barlow children's skincare?
These are, you're right. There are very random. Vanderpump Rose, actually, good.
Oh,
had
really?
it.
Okay.
Yes. And Rob, I don't think you watch Potomac, but Robin on Potomac has these satin lined hats. I can't wear a hat, but because my hair's too big, but I think that would also those would be the two things. Oh wait, maybe Teresa Giudice is one of her cookbooks.
No, maybe? You want a Teresa cookbook?
No, okay, one time I stood in line to meet Teresa Giudice when I was a teacher, and like this must have been 2011 or 2012. Julia, we stood in line, and I think it was one of her books was coming out, and we didn't buy the book. Me and my best friend, we did not buy the book, but we stood in line, and then we had her sign a napkin. She was not happy. So I don't know what I'm talking about. I obviously wouldn't buy a Bravo Celebrities anything, but I do love them. Okay, wait. Back to Southern. Okay, yeah, let's talk about BravoCon. What do you want to talk about?
It's so crazy. It's like Andy Cohen's Little Kingdom. It's like Disneyland. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
Like the character brunch at Disneyland, where you get to go and like see all your.
The crazy thing is too,
Cinderella.
They make these places look. Yeah, they make them look like nice inside, right? But like, it's just it's a convention center. I was just at a conference at that convention center. Like, you're just running around a convention center, even though when they film it, it looks like super nice. Like, you're just in a conference hall.
No, I was not. They didn't trick me with how they filmed it. I knew they were in a conference hall.
Okay. Maybe they were tricking me at first. Yeah, BravoCon's crazy. I definitely want to go sometime. And I think, it would literally be my Disneyland, but I want to do it right, which means like only paying the highest price.
Okay, we'll manifest.
Yeah, we'll manifest. I want to meet Brynn because she just looks so fabulous at BravoCon. But okay, back to Southern Charm. So you like the new wave of cast members. Question for you. If you were going to cast any of these kids in one of your films or shows, other than Craig, who would it be?
I mean, can I cast Paige? I love Paige, but she's not.
No. On Southern Charm.
She is on Southern Charm.
Okay, why would you cast Paige? Tell me about it.
Madison,
oh, yes.
Vanita.
Okay.
Taylor.
Okay, let's make it happen. Okay, and while we're on those new cast members, let's talk about the new season. So, what are your thoughts on this newest season?
Taylor is like such a good villain. She is the villain. She's just the right kind of villain for me right now. Like, it's not too deep and it's not too dark. And it's not like Tom Sandoval. It's like I'm really enjoying watching her bad behavior.
I know.
And her come up in.
It's a lot though. It's definitely a lot this season, and it is enjoyable to watch because it's crazy. And even I don't know if you remember
the lack of self-awareness is really
yes.
Enjoyable.
And I just feel like Austin's really getting away with a lot though, which is frustrating, but typical for Southern Charm.
Wait, you think he is getting away with a lot?
I mean, did you watch him last season? He took Taylor to that shoe store and he was like, "Oh, like Shep doesn't care for you. I'm here for you." Like, he set this up. Like, last season, I texted my friend and I was like, "Austin's going after Taylor." And I just feel like he definitely preyed on her. But at the same time, she was sending her boobs out to Whitney and doing other things, which I guess she's trying to make Shep mad.
Like her rebuttal to that. They were like, Jesus? You sent Whitney a nude picture. She was like, it was dark. It was dark and you couldn't see anything.
But she also
That
maybe
has
said,
nothing
like,
to do with anything. No. It
oh,
was dark
yeah.
though, guys. It's like,
Can you
no, we weren't like
imagine?
upset about the lighting of the picture. It was that you sent Whitney. It was really that she thought it was about sending a nude, and then people kind of made it about like sending nudes and free the
Yeah.
nipple or whatever. And it's like, no, it's like, and I guess now that I'm saying it, I'm like, well, why is it so bad?
I mean, I don't think it's just weird. Like, why would you send Whitney a nude? Like, what's the
Because
context? What did she
his
say? Oh,
mom
she's
is
never
so
mind. Don't
rich.
say it. Don't say
What?
the context. I mean, there is a we don't need to say it on the show,
What?
but I forgot what they said. Was like the caption underneath her photo. Do you remember what Madison said?
It was like, anytime, come get it.
Something like that. It wasn't that, but yes. Okay, so what are your predictions for like how the rest of the season's gonna go? Like, what do you think's gonna happen now that we've basically, for people who haven't been watching, right? Like, there's been the breakup of Shep and Taylor and Austin and Olivia, though that always felt kind of like more like a situationship. Then thank God for this
Yeah.
new cast. JT reveals that no bro code anymore. JT's like, Austin's been sleeping with your girl. Craig is like master detective behind the scenes, like, oh, this ain't good. And then Olivia's brother passes away, which is so sad.
I
And
know.
everyone's kind of in a fragile state. Taylor kind of gets saved by that in a weird way. And now everyone's moving forward. What do you think? What do you think's bound to happen?
Well, we know from this season on that Shep and Taylor will sleep together again.
Oh, because
I think
of the previews.
yes, yeah. I mean, I feel like the mess will get messier, and I kind of fear that it will like all fizzle out and become boring. I'm like, was this the big confrontation? This can't be the only big confrontation. Like, what I need is for like crazy, Scandival level shit to come to light about Austin and Taylor.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
Olivia to like cut Taylor out, cut Austin out. I want like Austin
Yeah.
to have some comeuppance. I want Madison to continue this retired slut justice for retired slut tirade.
Okay. I think that Madison will be the saving grace always on the show. Like, when she was off the show, it was so felt, but she's just like, she's always going to call it like it is and call the guys out and just like make it interesting. So I do feel like there is going to be more of a confrontation between Olivia and Taylor. Unfortunately, I feel like Olivia's going to like forgive Austin, which I can't deal with him after on Summer House. The stuff that he like, all that drama he made happen on Summer House
What
and with
is the
Sierra and
appeal of
everything.
Austin?
Okay, we need to talk
He
about
does
that. He's
nothing
tall
for me.
I mean, it's so true. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I think he's just out here, like, he's trying. Like, he's giving it his all, and he's bound, it's consistency. And as we kind of transition from Southern Charm, Summer House, Winter House, all of the Bravo shows, I'd love to hear like what you've learned from reality TV that you take with you in business and or your professional life. Like, have there been things that you take from your time watching reality TV into your work?
Okay, hold on one second. I need to turn off these notifications that are coming into John's computer.
No
Turn
worries.
off all notifications. Okay. What do I take from watching reality TV? It's just always interesting to watch people interact with each other. And you're always going, like, what would I do in that situation? Or the way that we're, like, judging how people are behaving, that's, whatever, teaching us something about like relationships and human interaction. And that's actually what all storytelling does. That's why we as a species tell stories, is to be like, what if this happened? How would I react? Like, we'd evolved to do that, to like help us survive better. So I think that's probably what I get out of reality TV. I mean, like, sometimes who are you talking about Real Housewives of New Jersey with?
Who am I talking about it with?
Do you
What do you
have
mean? The
someone
people who
talking about
watch?
that one?
Yes,
Do you
there are
have
people
someone?
who watch every show,
No,
Julia. I
no, I
do.
know, but do you have someone coming on the podcast to do New Jersey?
No, I do not. I do not have someone yet, but if anyone is an entrepreneur and they want to talk New Jersey housewives, like, please knock on my door. We will talk flipping tables and going to jail and my favorite girl daughters too.
Because that, like, the Teresa arc is like Shakespeare. Like, it's completely crazy. She goes like clown to villain to hero to, like, it's crazy. It's incredible. It's
Beautiful.
incredible.
Who knew Shakespeare was writing Bravo reality shows? Only you. Well, beautiful. As we talk Shakespeare, I'd love to kind of transition in here a little bit about your career and some of your newest ventures.
Yeah, so so should I just tell the whole story of my career?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Tell it.
Well, I always wanted to be a writer. Like, when I was really little, ever since I read The Babysitter's Club, I was like, oh, I want to be an author. And then I also really
Yes.
like to put on plays. Like, I would adapt American Girl books into plays, and then I would ruin every play date I had by being like, now we have to do my play. So this was innate in me.
Who was your favorite American Girl doll? Who was your favorite
Molly,
American
of
Girl
course.
doll?
Look at me.
Oh,
I'm a
Molly.
Molly. Of course I'm a Molly.
Obviously. Okay.
And then, but I didn't, like, my family is not creative. I don't know anyone. No one is a professional creative that I grew up around, and my like community that I grew up in was not very like friendly to that. So then when I went to college, I was like, I don't know what I want to do, but I kind of got more back into theater and really loved theater. After college, moved to New York and was, making my own things with my friends, and then also interning at the like big amazing theaters. And two realizations that bummed me out. One was like, the best theaters ever were like Lincoln Center and the Roundabout and the Public, that I was like, these are the theaters that are like doing the coolest shit. They still were like, had to beg people to buy tickets, and like really had to like convince, like, could not sell out the shows and stuff. So, I always like wanted to make money, and I was like, it doesn't seem like that theater is the place to do that. And also I realized, I was like, I want to make something that people want. Like, it's important to me to meet a need, not like create a need and convince people they need the thing I'm making.
Yep.
And everybody likes to watch TV, and people need good TV. And I feel like that just continues to be true. I'm like, I need TV. There's not like, I'm desperate for a TV show that is like enjoyable enough to me.
Yes.
And they're hard to find. So I moved to LA. I started doing improv. I was performing at UCB, and through being in the UCB community, got this amazing job as a development assistant which is like I was the assistant for people who were like coming up with new TV shows, basically.
Yeah.
So I had that job for like 4 years, and I was really just got like a full education on like how to make a new TV show and what makes a good one and what makes a bad one and all the little moving parts. And I wrote my own TV show and gave it to my bosses, and they were like, "Oh, this is really good. We'd like to produce it." So
Amazing.
they did. We sold it. That was my first writing job,
Yep.
was like selling my half-hour pilot. Then I sold. Oh, then the pandemic happened. Well,
Yep.
then I sold another pilot, and then I got a job writing a movie for Amazon, and then the strike happened, or then I had a
Yep.
baby.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay. So
all the stuff. So
you've had a
yeah.
beautiful career in the entertainment industry. You're a writer. You've had some success. You obviously like love the creative side, which is so great. And so what have you, which I think would be interesting to a lot of people. I think a lot of people are trying to figure out how they break into that side of the industry. But can you tell me now, like as you look forward, obviously you're still writing, you're doing films, as well as shows. What else are you kind of starting that's new for you?
Well, like when I think about what, my big purpose is, and when I like daydream about what my career would be, I was always like, I want to make this industry more accessible to more different types of people, and I think that will improve the um quality
Yes.
of storytelling if it's not just people who can afford to move to LA and get these like minimum wage assistant jobs, which you need to supplement your income somehow, and it's mostly by having rich parents, frankly. And
Mhm.
so I was always like, okay, like once I'm a successful writer, like then I can begin my project of like improving the quality of storytelling by having more different types of people tell their stories. But when I started teaching pilot writing during the strike, I was like, oh, actually, I can do that now by helping people get their pilots together, because an original pilot is like a really important professional tool, basically, to get your foot in the door in the industry. And I don't think there are enough good resources to help people create these like quality writing samples. So I'm starting to do that more, and so now I've just started like private coaching people, because like teaching the class is great, but part of the point of creating one of these writing samples is like it's your voice, it's what you want to say. And like it's much better to work one-on-one to help someone
Yep.
really hone that. And like I find in my classes, it ends up being like just dividing into like time for me to work one-on-one with people. And I also love like my students like giving each other feedback, like that's like so important. But I really like working one-on-one to like make sure someone, to like draw the story out of someone, make them feel like they are like this script that they end up having is like an amazing representation of what they think should be on TV and what they bring to the table as a creative. And that's what I did with my sample that sold. And it won't work like that for everyone, but that experience just made me believe that like having a sample that you really believe in, that you're excited to share with people, is like, I just want more people to have that.
Yeah. I mean, that's beautiful. I think I mean, you're a coach, and being a coach myself, it's so important to help people, like, like, remove the layers, help them figure out what's underneath, what their story is, like you're saying, and then helping them get that out in the world. And when you believe in something and you feel really confident in something and you've had someone support you and help you, you just step into those rooms when you're selling or when you're sharing it with other people so much more confidently. So I can see just how important it would be to have that support. Um, and I imagine it's, I haven't heard a lot of coaching that happens in that industry, and we're in LA. I see a lot of people who want to get there and want to figure it out, and just to have someone who's done it and who can be there and be a thought partner and help you along the way just must be kind of priceless, to be honest.
I hope so. I mean, I had, as we've talked about, like I had a lot of, I kind of struggled with like, is this what I want to do?
Mhm.
Because I do feel like there are a lot of people who are doing this type of teaching or who have like who target the same types of clients I do, but it's a little bit predatory in that we know because I've been there. You're desperate for success,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
desperation to feel like you're gonna make it in this industry. And I went through a whole thing of like I don't want to take these people's money, but then I was like,
Yeah.
well, the other people who are taking these people's money are like really in it for the wrong reasons and are just
Yep.
taking money. And not everyone. I've had amazing teachers, but
Yes.
there definitely are, it feels like kind of craven, like you need to do this in order to be successful in the industry. And then there are teachers who it's like really ego driven for them and
Yeah.
they need to prove that they are good at this or that they know it, and that's why there are so many, I don't know, all the books about the structure and a pilot has to be like this, and then the screenwriting teacher like twists themselves into knots proving that every pilot that's ever been written matches their template of how a pilot
Yep.
should be. And I just really don't believe in that, and I try to, you know, come from a place of service, vision, connecting with a person, and just like really trying to make my student or client feel like they've expressed themselves and
Mm.
they've told their story the way they want to tell it, the best
Yeah.
way they can.
And it sounds so connected to, like, you coming here and wanting different stories, diverse stories out in the world. Like, it's definitely connected, is helping people connect with what that real story is for them. And so it sounds like you've gone from, you know, being successful, selling a pilot, like continuing down that road, obviously. And then you taught a little and then you started coaching. So for people who might be listening who are interested in kind of starting their own coaching practices, like, were there some mindsets that you had to get over as you were starting it? Like, what were some of your first steps before you kind of jumped in and started coaching?
Yeah, I mean, it like, and what I still struggle with is like those who can't do teach, and
Mm-hmm.
but it's like weirdly like two sides of the same coin. It's like those who can't do teach. Well, if I were actually good at
Yes.
this, then I wouldn't have to teach it. I would be employed. I would be too busy actually doing it to teach it.
Yes.
Um, and I guess I've just had to like accept that what I am called to teach, and
Yes.
I'm like I am gifted in teaching as well as in writing. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's
And it
just the way it
almost
is.
it's like really important for people who just haven't reached that yet, is for them to be able to see someone who's not just all about them. I'm going to go and like do and write this pilot and be rich on my own. It's actually helpful for that person to like turn around and look back and say, like, how can I help people along the way as well?
I hope so, and I think there is like a little bit of a, I don't know if you would call it like a brain drain in between like levels
Mm,
of my industry, but it is like because even what I've experience as when I sell my pilots, right? Like I've never worked on a TV show. I'm what they call a baby writer. So they have to assign a more senior writer to supervise me, a supervisor. And for it was so hard to find a supervisor because the supervisors don't, the people at the level that the studios would be happy to have as supervisors all want to make their own shows, understandably.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the solution is. And I'm definitely like don't want to seem like I'm talking shit about how it's about like the decisions people are making with their careers, but that is like a big obstacle to having more different types of voices in the industry. And I'm like I've said, I'm not at the level where I could be a supervisor, but I am at the level where I could turn around and help some people who are trying to come in, create better samples to help to get themselves known.
Yep. And so how did you think about like starting your coaching practice? What were some of the first things that you did before you kind of put it out in the world?
Well, what did I do? I did a lot of thinking about it. I did a lot of like overcoming these own like the blocks I was having about like, should I be doing this? Is this embarrassing to be doing this? Do I have anything to offer? And then basically because I was teaching, people started to ask for coaching. So that I pretty much have been meeting everything I've done building this business, which is still very nascent. I'm just meeting a need that someone has asked for. So I'm like, okay, we need someone's like, can I book an appointment with you? Okay, let me like set up an appointment scheduler.
Yep.
Do you have a website? Okay, now I'll set up a website.
Yes.
And I guess that's just how I have done it. And I guess because I have had this struggle of like, what am I doing this for? And I don't want it to seem like it's out of ego or whatever. Doing it this way where the business is just growing to meet the needs of the people who want it. Like really reflects that like service call vocation thing that I'm just hanging on to for like, this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you had a pull towards something and then you're hearing more of those voices out in the world. And the way that you've built your business is the way, I coach women in business is the way that a lot of people, should build their businesses, which is it's kind of organically. Someone asks for something, you need it. And a lot of times we want to go out in the world and have everything be perfect as soon as we step out. But, it's just putting one foot in front of the other and doing one little step after. And that's how everyone kind of builds their business. So I'm super excited to continue to watch you take those steps moving forward too.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny. What a big breakthrough. Oh, sorry. What were you saying?
No, go ahead.
Oh, like a big breakthrough was when because I was like, okay, creative coaching or writing coaching. And I was really feeling like not equipped to do those things. And then I was like, half-hour pilot coaching, that is a very super specific, weird niche. This is just a professional tool for a very small group of people in this industry, but that is what I'm able to help people with really well. And then now people are like, well, can you also coach me for this other thing? So I think it will just like continue to grow based on the needs of my clients.
Absolutely. Great. Okay. So what advice do you have for, other budding entrepreneurs, particularly like women, or anyone creative, in this space? Like what advice do you have?
Well, I have a lot of advice on how to write your half-hour pilot. No, like tune into what your vision is. You're doing it differently from how anybody else is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of think my biggest piece of advice for a creative is like, okay, actually, gosh, I should have had more concise advice. One, rejection is neutral. In other fields, it's like if you get rejected from every law school you apply to, or if you go to law school and then don't get a job at a law firm, it's like that might be a sign that this isn't the field for you. And it's really not like that in a creative field. Rejection is neutral.
That's great
advice.
It
just means that this offer, it means nothing. There's not. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just like meh.
It is.
It just is. It just is. And along those lines, like, don't be afraid of failing. Like, there are really there are only two things that can happen. There's actually a third thing. Okay, there are only two things that can happen. One, you're going to keep trying and figuring this out until you become successful. Two, you're going to keep trying and figuring it out and realize actually there's something else you would rather do besides become a successful artist that is more aligned and easier for you. And both of those are great outcomes. The third option is like you get hit by a bus before either of those things happen.
Oh gosh. Okay. Sorry.
I'm just being real.
The creative here is writing her next movie. So okay, final question for you before we close out our show is what other reality TV shows other than Winter House and Summer House should we be watching next? What's good?
Yeah, I feel like I've sold you on so many already, but I mean, I love Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I love Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I get in a mood for Below Deck. Oh,
okay.
No.
Yep.
Here's my recommendation: Love Island Games. Love Island Games.
Wait, have you even watched
Love
it yet?
Island Games.
Is it out? Is it out?
Yes. It's so good. It's on Peacock. It's so good. It's better than regular Love Island.
Okay, Love Island. Oh my God, Love Island is one of my favorite shows, UK, and so I hope I get to do that one at some point. But it is a commitment to watch Love Island.
Yeah, so Love Island Games is so good. They're from all over the world, so it's like some UK people, some US people, some Australia people, some Europeans.
Amazing.
All in a villa, and it's like the challenges actually matter.
Oh my goodness.
It's a little like Survivor, Love Island, like
love it.
Really, yeah.
Perfect. Well, Julia, thank you for being on the show today. It was so great to have you. I really appreciate it. And where can people find you at? Like where can people find you on social media or your website?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram a lot at Julia B. Meltzer, and my website is www.julia-meltzer.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having